Hello everyone, this is JBR3 Collector, and I'm doing my top 10 Marvel Legends of the Decade video. As you see all these figures here, there's way more than 10. That's because none of these are on the top 10. These are just fantastic figures that I thought would deserve a little bit of a shout out. Honorable mentions, if you would say. But I'm not gonna go more in depth on that other than this. The figures that made the top 10, I based them off of four categories. Their impact on the line as a whole is probably the most important. The figure quality, how they've held up over time. Some of the figures, from the beginning of the decade don't hold up, but some do. We'll see. And last is slight character preference. But I tried to avoid using that one as much as possible because, again, I try to make this list as subjective as possible. I try to make it an overarching list rather than my personal favorites. If it was my personal favorites, some of these figures here on this picture here would be on the list. But because they're not, this is very, very hard to make. I'll just say that. Over the past 10 years, Hasbro's done some great things. They've given us all these brand new individual unique body sculpts. They've provided figures we've wanted for decades. They've improved so much since the ages before this decade, the dark days of Marvel Legends and such. So just everything Marvel and Hasbro have done in the past decade, it's been incredible. We've completed teams. We've gotten movie figures that look good. I don't collect movie figures, so I couldn't include any in this list, but if I had to give a shout out, starting in 2017, the MCU figures got fantastic. The new technology they do for them, amazing. We've completed teams like the Fantastic Four, the Jim Lee X-Men, the Alpha Flight. All this stuff happened in the past decade, and we never thought it would happen before. And it's amazing how mind-blowing of a job Hasbro's been doing with the Marvel Legends toy line. So, with all that being said, let's go into number 10 on the best Marvel Legends of the decade. So number 10 on the list are female Marvel Legends. Kind of a cop-out having something as a whole on the list, but when you hear the reasoning why, you'll understand. Starting in 2013, when the Moonstone body mold came out, this is Miss Marvel, but when the Moonstone body came out, that revolutionized female Marvel Legends. For once, we finally had a good sculpt for a female figure. Decent articulation, not quite to the level the men are, and just massive improvements over what we had previously. I mean, just in 2012 alone, we were still using these body molds. Very, very skinny, scrawny, not the best, even worse articulation body molds than what we have now. And then even before then, at the Toy Biz, the female figures, while they're superposable, they looked horrible. These combine moderate posability with great sculpt and great articulation. I mean, the head sculpts of some of these females here in this picture are some of the best head sculpts in the Marvel Legends toy line. So these are fantastic figures. I chose the best of the best here. But just female figures as a whole have improved so much of the decade. But they're still only number 10 because they still have a lot more improvement they could have. Number 9 on our list is a tie between Thor and Iron Man. Now, the reason they're tied is because they're here for the same reason. Before the decade, and actually, honestly, until 2019, we had never gotten really good Thor and Iron Man figures. There's always something wrong. They're either too big or too small or ugly looking or whatnot. It's until 2019 that we finally got the perfect Thor and the perfect Iron Man. It's crazy because back in the 2012, the Return of Marvel Legends, we got a Thor and Iron Man, the same wave. And while those were good figures, the Iron Man was extremely tiny, and the Thor was gigantic. So again, it took all the way until 2019 for us to finally get the perfect scale for Iron Man, the perfect scale for Thor, great articulation, great sculpts, just fantastic figures. And I'm hoping that these molds here are reused in the future for different color schemes, different versions of the characters. I'm hoping this becomes, you know, something that would get reused in the future to get even better versions and more awesome costumes and more great characters using these body molds. I can see this Thor being used for a Cyborg Thor, a Thunderstrike, an Eric Masterson Thor, maybe changing it a little bit, making it better a Bill or that. So, you know, all that. Iron Man, Silver Centurion, Stealth Armor being just the main bodies for these type of characters. That'd be perfect. I really hope that that happens in the future. So these guys are number 9. Let's go on to number 8. Number 8 is going to be the Omega Red. Now this figure is an amazing figure. Really fantastic new body mold that we were certain was going to be reused more often than it has, and I'm sure there's more that's going to be used again in the future. It has to be. It's a fantastic body mold, fantastic size. For so many years, we were stuck with like the Hyperion body mold, which was, one of the worst Marvel Legends reused body molds in Legends history. It happened in 2013. It's still being used all the way into 2020 with Crossbones and stuff. We have this Omega Red body mold, which is basically the same, slightly larger, but basically the same scale as that body mold. That is just sitting here waiting to be reused, waiting to be fantastic, great. I mean, it has some of the greatest butterfly joints on a big figure. Real fantastic anatomy sculpt. This is just a fantastic figure that I'm sure in the future is going to be getting reused a lot more often, and I'm sure this is going to be the future of the big guys in the Marvel Legends toy line. Is this body mold right here? And while it hasn't been true yet, I can see it coming, and that's why this guy is on this list. Truly fantastic body, and really great, really great sculpt and great action figure. If you don't have Omega Red, you definitely got to get him. Really hope this body gets used more in the future. Here are at number 7, and it's Pizza Spider-Man. Now, I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan in the world. Yeah, believe it or not. My favorite Spider-Man is this Ralph Spider-Man over here. But Pizza Spidey is the first body mold that Hasbro made themselves that had a truly good butterfly joint. Before this, they were reusing the old Toy Biz Bullseye body, all the way up until 2015 with the white Iron Fist. I think that was the last time they used that body. But 2014, or was it 2015? 2015 as well, they created this body mold. And when it first came out, I was not a fan. I did not like how the Spider-Man looked. I didn't like that. They didn't have the raised webbing, all that. And the figure grew on me over the years, and it really is a fantastic figure. Fantastic articulation, and this was the blueprint for the butterfly joints on future body molds. So again, fantastic figure. Really revolutionary, just because of the advent of the butterfly joints on these modern figures. And this body's mold has been reused a lot. It's been used on Iron Fist, which is my personal favorite use of this body. Iron Fist, Speed Demon, multiple Spider-Man, countless figures. But I think it's still a good body that still holds up today, and you can't deny that without this body mold, I don't think Hasbro would have been able to, figure out the butterfly joint system as good as they have in future molds, because this still have fantastic butterfly joints. Even to this day, I mean, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it paved the way for what we have today. Now almost every new body mold we get, almost all of them, not everything, has a new butterfly joint. So again, very fantastic figures, and so they made number 7 on my list. So now we're going to number 6. So number 6 is the SpiderMan 2099 body mold, specifically Bullseye. I think Bullseye is the best use of this body mold so far, especially in the first year it was made. The first year it was made, 2099 came out on it, Sunfire came out on it, and Bullseye. I don't have 2099. I do have Sunfire, but Bullseye is just a amazing, fantastic figure. I think he's my number 1 that year. Great figure. This figure basically took the butterfly joints that we got from the Pizza Spidey mold and made them even better. Put them on a Bucky Cap sized body, and now it can be reused for, you know, even more agile characters. Like, I'm sure in the future we're going to get a Daredevil on this. We'll probably get Black Panther remade on this body. All kinds of good stuff. This articulation scheme is just fantastic, and this is the future of Marvel Legends. I'm sure while Pizza Spidey revolutionized and brought back the butterfly joints to Marvel Legends, this body mold improved on that completely, and is arguably one of the greatest body molds in Marvel Legends history. And Bullseye itself is just a fantastic figure himself in his own right, with his 2 great head sculpts, alternate hands, and articulation. It's this is just getting us further and further into the future of the Marvel Legends storyline, and I'm just excited to see where it's going to go. I'm excited to see what figures are going to come out in this body mold, what we're gonna, you know, and most people, this is going to be the replacement of the Bucky Cap body mold. I can almost guarantee you that. And yeah, it's just, I'm really hoping to see this body mold used more than it already is. So that was number 6. Then we go to number 5. Number 5 is Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, because everyone hates the Bucky Cap mold now. I personally still love the Bucky Cap mold. I still think it's a fantastically sculpted body. But the reason Bucky Cap is on this list is because this figure revolutionized Marvel Legends. This was the very first Marvel Legend to come out that had this style articulation, this leg articulation, no more ball joints, no more, this is the very first, you know, unique Hasbro sculpt that was not basing it on something Toy Biz did. This is a totally new thing. Great anatomy sculpt, great paint, it was a fantastic figure when it came out, and everyone loved the Bucky Cap mold for many years, and now they're sick of it because it's been reused more than any other body mold in Marvel Legends history. How many Cyclops have we got in this body mold? Black Panthers, Daredevils, Deadpools, Nighthawk, etc. So many figures made on this body mold. People have gone sick of it, but I think they're forgetting just how fantastic Bucky Cap was when he first came out, and how revolutionary this figure was. If this figure didn't exist, I don't know if any of the other figures on this list would exist. We couldn't have a replacement for the Bucky Cap mold. The Bucky Cap mold never came out. The articulation scheme on this literally changed Marvel Legends for forever since then. The getting rid of the ball joints in its own right, that's such a huge step forward for Marvel Legends, and make it look more like a premium toy line than just some cheap, you know. The ball joints are so early 2000s that this really streamlined and cleaned up and made more realistic Marvel Legends toy lines, and it's gonna be something we'll see in the future. I'm sure this figure is going to be completely outdated soon. I mean, some people already claim it is, but yeah, I just cannot get over this figure, and I'm just really, I just don't know what we would do if the Bucky Cap mold was never created. What would the Marvel Legends toy line be if the Bucky Cap mold didn't exist? Who knows? Number 4 is Marvel Legends Hulk. Specifically this one, but this body mold in general. Again, fantastic. This butterfly joints, while they only go back, that's one problem with this figure, but this figure just looks great. It's the perfect body mold for a Hulk, or a large Hulk-sized character, and it's already been reused twice this year, or 3 times this year, with this one, the Gray Hulk, and the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Hulk. And I'm sure it's going to be getting a lot of use for years to come. I'm sure we'll get a Red Hulk on this body, we'll get a Maestro, we'll get a Professor Hulk, a Joe Fixit, you name it. This figure is just fantastic, and you can really see how much love was put into this. It's really a spot-on Hulk figure. It's a great body mold for big figures in the future. It's the first really gigantic sized, giant Hulk-sized characters to have a butterfly joint, and that in its own right is a huge step forward in Marvel Legends. So I'm hoping this figure gets more reuse in the future, just like I mentioned with Thor and Iron Man earlier. While they haven't been reused yet, and those body molds are perfect for future uses of them for those characters, this body mold has been reused already, and every figure that's been on it has been great. And I'm sure it's not going to stop anytime soon. Yeah, just a fantastic toy, and he was my number 1 in 2019, and 2019 was the best year for Marvel Legends in history so far, so that's why Hulk had to be this high on this list. So there we go. Number 3 is Marvel Legends Beast. Now this figure came out, and this is the future of Marvel Legends, for real. I've said that a couple times in this video, but Beast has a whole new articulation scheme not before seen on Marvel Legends, and that's going to be something you can see happening in the future. Different new schemes of articulation. This figure came out this year, 2019, and it really just blew everyone's mind when it came out. And it's a fantastic figure. The butterfly joints in this figure, easily probably the greatest of any butterfly joints in any Marvel Legends ever. They brought back the toe joints on it, and they actually look okay. They don't look horrible. Toe joints usually look really bad on figures, but in Beast, I wouldn't say that. The hair sculpt, fantastic. It's, no one thought Hasbro would beat the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Beast, and they did, and they blew it out of the water. This new articulation style, Hasbro had used this with their 12-inch line. This is the first 6-inch scale Marvel figure to use this body mold, to use this kind of articulation. Where you have a twist up here, and then a crunch below here. Similar to the articulation they used on that DC Collectibles used on their DC Icons toy line, which had great torso articulation, but Hasbro basically used that great torso articulation and didn't mess up the rest articulation of the figure. DC Icons had horrible leg articulation, horrible articulation other places on their figures, but Beast does it right. And a really interesting thing, something that no one expected, was the drop down function. You can't tell that much, but this is the first time they've used it on a Marvel Legend figure. I think this is the very first non-import figure to do that. So that is incredible in its own right. Beast is revolutionary for Marvel Legends, and if we get more figures like him in the future, with furthering the articulation technology and stuff like that in the future, it's gonna be incredible, and I am excited to see it. That's why Beast is number 3 on this list. Fantastic figure, and if you don't have Beast, you probably should get Beast. It'll blow your mind how good the articulation is on this figure, and he's a very needed Marvel Legend. and this is the future. Number 2 is Marvel Legends The Thing from Walgreens exclusive Fantastic Four line. When this figure came out, everyone was blown away. They're like, wow, if Hasbro can make a perfect Thing figure like this, they can do anything. They can make a perfect Hulk, they can make a perfect Thor, Iron Man, Beast. Like, this what changed everyone's perception on what Hasbro was really capable of, because this blows anything Toy Biz did out of the water. Thing here is one of the best Marvel Legends of all time. Especially when it came out, no one was expecting it to be as good as it was. Fantastic sculpt work, fantastic posability for a Thing figure. Just nothing. It's just crazy. Oop, I just popped his head off. But anyways, fantastic figure. It's been talked about to death. I think he was the best figure of 2018. But one of the best figures of all time for Marvel Legends, and just the creation of this figure really showed that Hasbro could really do anything. They could really make any figure and make it good, and Thing is the one that really showed that was possible. And I'm sure we're gonna get more reuse out of this Thing figure for the future. I can see Korg getting made out of him, Rock Slide, more Thing costumes, the blue and the white. It already got re-released in the Fantastic Four wave. But yeah, this is the perfect Thing figure, and the big weird thing about this figure is it really proved that Hasbro can make fantastic figures that perfectly represent characters. And in 2019, they proved that when they did do Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and all these characters that we never thought they'd be able to perfect. And this Thing figure was the beginning of that. And the number 1 Marvel Legend of the decade is Wolverine. Choose your favorite. They're all great figures. You can't go wrong with any of these figures. When this body mold came out, it blew everyone's minds. Because before these, we were getting Wolverines like this. This Wolverine came out in 2013, and he's not a bad looking figure. He's really tall. Reused Toy Biz upper torso, brand new Hasbro legs that this did not really work that well. And this is a figure, a costume that still need to get made in that body mold there. But anyways, when Wolverine came out, it blew everyone's minds. He was the perfect height for a Wolverine figure. Fantastic articulation. This was the first one, actually. Juggernaut Wave. Just fantastic articulation. The claws are mostly good. You can remove them. You can remove them on gold ones too. But this figure's had the whole touch. It had interchangeable hands. They've all come with different heads, different accessories. Some of them got to do with different arms, but they're all essentially the same figure, and they're all good. That's the thing. Like I mentioned earlier with Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and Thing and Beast, those figures are going to be reused for years, to get the perfect versions of those characters and so forth. But Wolverine has already been doing that for the past, I think this mold came out in 2016, I believe, for the past 3.5 years. Wolverine's already been doing that. We've had, how many Wolverines have we had now? Like 8 of them? Oh, more than 8, because there's like 5 here. And we had Weapon X, so we have that retro version. We have a couple different biker versions. Didn't count those ones because the articulation scheme is different on those. But still, this Wolverine is just amazing, and you cannot get a better Wolverine figure. In my opinion, not that I know of, you cannot get a better Wolverine figure than these. For a $20 Marvel Legend, these figures are perfect for Wolverine. They're great figures. They really represent everything that the other figures before on this list showed. He has the fantastic butterfly joints, fantastic ab crunch, the fantastic newer hip articulation that we didn't have until Bucky Cap. Fantastic sculpt. These Wolverines epitomize Marvel Legends, and until 2016, we were just settling for Wolverine figures. We were settling on Marvel Legends. This changed how good Marvel Legends could really be. Really. This set the bar for, this is what started with us getting perfect body molds for certain characters, After this figure came out, then we got the Thing, which is a perfect body mold for the Thing. We got Hulk, which is a perfect body mold for Hulk. But Wolverine, no other characters use this body mold other than Wolverine's. This body mold is perfect for Wolverine. This body mold here showed that Hasbro can really make a perfect body mold for a character and just use it for every version of that character, and there'll always be good figures. And yeah, this Wolverine's just fantastic, and I really, if I had to choose one of these Wolverines as my favorite, it'd probably be this newest 3-pack one. But they're all great. You can't go wrong with any of them. They're all fantastic figures, and he is #1 Marvel Legend of the decade. And there you have it, folks. The greatest Marvel Legends over the past decade, which would also be the greatest Marvel Legends of all time. Must-have figures, and yeah. So please let me know in the comments below what you guys think, what your list would be, what your opinions on my list are, and let me know how many of these figures you actually have. So, thanks for watching.